What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Baby Sloth, back at it again, bringing you a brand new video. And in today we're going to be taking a look at the best arc subclass that the Warlock has available to him. Now, with the new recent Forsaken expansion, the Attunement of Control was recently added into the Warlock's arsenal of subclasses to choose from, and it just so happens that this one is the best in my opinion. Now I'm going to go through and explain why. The Attunement of Control is a very well-rounded class and would literally blow these two other ones out of the water completely if it wasn't for this perk here, Pulse Wave. Now Pulse Wave is kind of a useless perk in my opinion, because the actual boost to speed that it gives to you and your allies is actually not really that noticeable. If you had another perk here that was actually decent, this one would be the best by an absolute mile, but sadly it does not. But the main reason why it was so close is because actually the Chaos Reach Super, although it does look really cool, it's actually kind of difficult to utilize in PvP effectively. And because this kind of whole skill tree here is all geared around getting your ability back and getting your super up as quickly as possible, you kind of want to be able to pop your super the second that you get it, so you can start working towards your next one. But sadly, because this super isn't a roaming super, it's kind of situational, so you end up getting in a position where you just get your super, you want to use it immediately, so you can usually only pick up maximum 1 to 3 kills if you're lucky, 3 being the maximum. Usually you're going to end up with around, though, I'd say about 1 to 2 kills, and then you're going to start working towards getting it back. If this was a roaming super, it'd be so much more effective for the way this class is built, but sadly it's not. But overall, Chaos Reach is still a much better class than the other two. Arc Web is the reason I would say that the Attunement of Conduction is a close runner-up, because it's actually a really, really good ability and allows your grenades to be really powerful. But Attunement of Control is the best, so I'm going to break down why here. Now, Chaos Reach, it's an okay super, but it's situational, so you kind of have to make sure that when you're using it, you kind of have to wait for the right time, so it's not always that effective. Now, Ball Lightning, now immediately when I first started using this actual subclass, I thought this was absolutely garbage, this melee ability, but I was using it all wrong. Up close, this ability is not very good, and the melee ability of the other classes, for instance Chain Lightning and Rising Storm, are a lot better. But when you actually realise that this melee ability is not meant to be used up close, it's actually meant to be used similar to a throwing knife because it is so ranged. Basically the way this works is when you press RB, you fire out a ball of lightning that will basically travel out a good solid distance and then will connect with an enemy in its line of sight and does 70 damage each time. The best way to use this melee ability is preemptively. Now you want to basically make sure that if you're being pushed by an enemy, or you know someone's coming, or you know someone's going to be peeking around the corner, fire this ability out towards them, and then basically the second that they round the corner, if you time it right, you're going to tag them with that 70 damage, and you're immediately going to get the foot up on your opponent. So when I figured it out and ended up getting my head around this is the way to use it, it was actually very effective, and I started to really enjoy it, and actually becomes a very, very useful addition to the subclass. Now onto Pulse Wave, probably the most useless perk on the actual tree itself. All this basically does is when you get wounded, you can move a bit quicker, but the speed boost is really not that noticeable, and you'll probably rarely notice it actually coming to help you in any situation. And then finally, this is why the subclass is the best. This is the best perk on the subclass. Defeating enemies has a chance to create ionic traces. Collecting ionic traces grants energy to all your abilities. Now this is fantastic. In PvE the boost is a lot less than in PvP. On PvP, when you get a kill, you get a boost anyway towards all your abilities, and then you get a second boost if one of these comes towards you. Now basically this doesn't proc after every kill, but it procs after most of them. I would say probably around about 50%. I'd say you have a really good chance of these happening. Now when you start getting these non-stop, I have a period in the background that I'm going to show you now, that when this starts proccing, I think I rack up about 4 or 5 kills, and by the end of that, my super and I use all of my grenade energy at the start, I use my melee ability at the start, and towards the end, probably after about a spell of 20 seconds, 5 kills in, I have my melee ability back, I have my grenade ability back, and I have halfway towards my super, and we're only about a minute 30 into the game, and this is without any actual super regeneration mods on my armor. So if you had them, you can only imagine how much I would have gone up by. So this is the main reason that this subclass is so effective, because you basically geared towards getting your super up as quickly as possible, getting your melee up as quickly as possible, and getting your grenade up as quickly as possible. Now just a quick one on what grenades I like to use on this subclass. The Arc Bolt grenade is the one that I personally like to use. Now if you're playing an objective game mode, obviously the pulse grenade is very, very effective. effective. Me personally, I just prefer the arc bolt, so I like to use my grenades when someone's hiding around a corner and I've got them weak, just to finish them off so I don't have to unnecessarily push them. But it's personal preference. The pulse grenade is a very good grenade, as is the arc bolt. Movement ability on the Warlock, I always go for burst glide. I just feel the most comfortable using it, and I think it allows me to traverse the map the most quickly. Now I'm just going to do a brief demonstration of how to actually use the ball lightning effectively. You're going to see a clip in the background where someone is about to push me around a corner. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to preemptively fire out my ball lightning, so I know they're being aggressive and I know they're pushing me. The second that he rounds the corner, luckily I've been able to time it, so I tag him immediately, knock 70 of his health off, and then I'm able to pick him up with a longer range shotgun shot that kills him. Whereas if I didn't hit him with that melee ability, I would have not killed him with that shotgun blast, probably leading me to lose the gunfight. So this subclass in general, I think is absolutely fantastic. If you're the type of player that likes to sit back and have the advantage in gunfights, this is very, very good, because it basically allows you to have your grenade ability and your melee ability up most of the time because of how quickly they regenerate due to ionic trace. So if you're getting pushed by shotguns a lot and you like to back up, you can basically, if you know someone's going to push you, you usually have your grenade or your melee available to try and give you an upper hand for the second that they round the corner or slide through a doorway. If you know they're coming, you can usually get a good chunk of damage off on them and then clean them up nicely. So it's very, very good for aggressive enemies, this subclass. In general, the way you're going to want to play it is, in my opinion, to get the most use out of it. The second that you get your super, you want to use it as quickly as possible, because you're going to be able to pick up 1 to 2 kills, and I reckon that if you're having a good game, you should be able to get your super no problem 3 times within that game if you're playing Control or Clash. Now, especially if you gear up so you have some actual super regeneration mods, it's going to be absolutely insane for you. Now, just to quickly round up what exotics work really well with this class. Now, I'm a big fan of the Karnstein armlets. This is purely because the Vampire's Caress perk is really, really good. When you do get a melee kill, you get your health back, and it really regenerates really quickly. It gives you, I think you get insane health regeneration for around about 8 seconds or so. That's how long the buff lasts, and it's very, very effective. Now, this does work on the extended range that you get with this melee, so it is actually very, very decent. Now, the Claws of Ahamkara are a good shout because you get an additional melee charge, and the melee is very good, but because it regenerates so quickly, you don't necessarily need to have this. It's just kind of a personal preference thing. Me personally, I'd go with the Karnstein armlets, but you also have the Ophidian aspect, something I don't actually have on my Warlock here, but if you have those, they're very, very effective because they basically improve your all-round PvP performance. So I'd recommend using them if you do have them. If not, go for the armlets. But that in general pretty much sums up why this subclass is so good. And out of the 3, if you do want to play an Arc Warlock in PvP, I would definitely recommend using the Attunement of Control, because I believe it is the best out of the 3. The Attunement of Conduction is a close second, but the Attunement of Control does just top it for me. So that's been it from me, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I am going to be putting out more of these subclass guides for each element, so I hope you did enjoy. I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.